now dropped 15 of their last 18 games. The Dodgers, meanwhile, have won 7 of 8, really gotten it rolling since that 4-9 start to the season. Tonight with a chance to match a season long with a 4-game winning streak and make it back-to-back series wins on this homestand against NL East opponents. After last night's pitchers duel 2-1 win, we welcome you inside for game 2 of the series. Joe Davis, Nomar Garciaparra, Alana Rizzo joins us in a moment. Kenta Maeda takes it for the Dodgers tonight, and he vowed, Nomar, after his bullpen stint last year to try and channel some of that into his starts. So far, so good. You look at the company he's keeping, and as far as the way he's striking batters out, it's elite.
It really is. He's going out there, and we always hear Dave Roberts when he was talking about Kenta Maeda, when he learns to pitch with conviction and attack hitters, he can be one of the best. Well, from a strikeout percentage, you can see where he's fitting in this year in the NL. He is one of the tops. You look at his last start, it was one of those that you could say it was a solid performance. He did give up 4 runs, but he is putting guys away.
And struck out 10 in that game, matching a season high. There's a roster move. We go down to Alana.
Guys, last night starter Walker Buehler has been optioned to Rancho Cucamonga. It's just really basically for him to be able to get some workouts in. Likely he is going to start game 1 of that doubleheader on Saturday morning in San Francisco. So he is optioned out. And they have called up right-handed veteran pitcher reliever Daniel Hudson. Dave Roberts not saying exactly when he's going to be used as far as the bullpen is concerned, but would like to likely get him in tonight.
Yeah, a guy that's been around and a guy they're looking forward to taking a look at. Kenta Maeda ready to take it for the Dodgers tonight. Dylan Peters, a rookie, counters for the Marlins. We've got first pitch coming up. little bit of a cooler night for baseball as the Dodgers take the field in front of Game 2 of this series against the Marlins. And if it's half as fun as it was to watch Kike Hernandez play last night, it should be a good one. Dodgers at 11-10, above 500 for the first time this year, having won these 3 in a row, and facing off with the Marlins, who at 5-17 have the second worst record in the National League. Here's their lineup, brought to you by 76, with Derek Dietrich set to lead things off. Then JT Realmuto. Starlin Castro starts at second and hits third. Justin Bohr is back at the starting lineup as the first baseman. Ryan Anderson at third, then Maben. Miguel Rojas down from the leadoff spot to bat. Out of the 7th spot, Lewis Brinson, the 8-hitter and center fielder. Against the 30-year-old Kenta Maeda, who tonight makes his 4th start of the season.
On his last outing, gave up 4 runs in 5 2/3 innings, but he did have 10 strikeouts. That's the second time he's had double digits in strikeouts this season. Career versus the Marlins, 0-2 in just 2 starts with a 4.28 ERA. Looking to finally get that victory against these Marlins.
Closed captioning tonight, brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. It's a Marlins team that has dropped 5 games in a row, 15 of its last 18, after they started the season with a split against the Cubs over the first 4 games. And not much has gone right, but really it's about what people expected when you saw everything that they shipped off in this teardown under the first year of the ownership group. And the offense among the very worst in baseball, tied with the Giants for the fewest runs per game, below 3.2. Of course, they shipped off Giancarlo Stanton. Same thing though with Christian Yelich and Marcell Ozuna, who were 2 of the top young outfielders in baseball. Dee Gordon was traded, and they got back a lot in the way of prospects and in budget. That'd make it any more fun right now if you're a Marlin or a Marlins fan.
Well, it's pretty amazing that when you look at last year, just from the outfield alone, they ranked 1st or 2nd in so many offensive categories as a total outfield in the major leagues, to be at the bottom, near the bottom now coming into this year. And now it's early, but still, those are some big bats they love.
Off we go with a fastball high. It's 1-0 on Dietrich. Yeah, so you go from an outfield of Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton to Dietrich, Brinson, Maben. First 2 pitches for Maeda take off on him, and it's 2-0.
I mean, those guys you mentioned last year, 1st in home runs in major leagues, 2nd in major league in batting average, 1st in major leagues on base percentage, RBIs. They were the first combined. It's a pretty important offensive categories, I'm just saying.
Yeah, those are pretty indicative of how things go usually. It's a strike 2-1. .63 degrees at first pitch. Picturesque, light blue skies above. It's a little bit up, and it's 3-1 on the leadoff man. Dietrich off of the bench last night. And the lineup today leading things off against Maeda, waiting on a 3-1. Got him swinging on an off-speed pitch. The count goes full.
Kenta Maeda mixing it up, not afraid on a 3-1, a hitter's count to get a breaking ball. Missed his spot. It was a little up, but still, as a hitter, you're thinking doesn't want to walk the leadoff man.
Winds up getting him, and Dietrich perhaps chasing a couple out of the zone for the first out of the night.
Looked like he recognized the spin out of his hand, but I think was expecting it to break a lot more than it did. It was one of those that just kind of spun and had a very small break, and you end up swinging right underneath it.
Yeah, I think out of those 6 pitches Maeda just threw to start the game, only one of them was where he wanted it.
Usually you see it, if you can recognize a spin right out of his hand, or you're thinking, okay, that's a curveball. That's where you want it to start, where those started, and you're like, right, these are a hanging curveball, and you get away with it because you swing underneath.
Ball 1 on JT Realmuto. As Maeda throws his hardest pitch of the night at 93. First couple of fastballs he threw were around 90. That's hacked foul, and it's 1-1. And the velocity uptick has been something that's been pleasant for Maeda, something that he was able to carry over from the bullpen experience that he had late last season. And he admitted that previously he'd been somebody who tried to pace himself to last deeper into games. Poke to right, Puig towards the corner, will run it down for the second out.
Well, it's nice that you can attack hitters when you have great defense behind you and guys who can cover some ground like Yasiel Puig.
Albeit casually. How do you feel about the red shades he's rocking?
I'm just happy he saw the ball way into the glove.
Right?
That's it, right?
Red, blue, green.
Exactly.
Adds a nice little pop to the uniform.
I tell you, you see those lenses. Oftentimes those lenses actually kind of brighten things up.
Huh.
There are times when you have those lenses you can put on where they enhance the colors and they can see better. It's kind of like an amber tint to it. So I don't think he's wearing those just to look cool, even though he does.
Right, right. 2-0 on Starlin Castro. Multi-purpose shades. And it is kind of that time of night where you don't need sunglasses, but it does tend to kind of get hazy, hard to pick the ball up. And so if it does brighten it up, you understand why.
And I'm curious if there's a time here where it's going to get really gray and you're going, listen, you need help balls and you can lose them in the sky. And I wonder if those glasses, or that's something he's probably been thinking about, that maybe they'll help early on.
Castro drives the ball to left center field. That's no big deal for Chris Taylor. And despite not looking real sharp in that first inning, Kenta Maeda sits him down in order. And the Dodgers come to bat against the rookie Dylan Peters after this. Chris Taylor to lead it off, and then Corey Seager after the day off yesterday's back in there. Kike Hernandez batting third. Bellinger the cleanup man. In left field is Kemp. Barnes does the catching. Puig in right, and Farmer back-to-back starts at third. 25-year-old rookie Dylan Peters, who gave up 9 runs in his second start. That included a couple of grand slams, but the other 3 starts, the ERA around 3.
Yeah, he's facing the Dodgers for the very first time. It's an interesting split. We're at home. He's 2-0 with a 1.5 ERA, but on the road, as you mentioned, just 0-2 with a 15.9 ERA.
Giving up a couple grand slams and 1 outing, they'll do it,
especially early in the season.
Right.
So
His first one of the night is taken for a strike.
That's one of those where you're sitting around trying to figure out your scouting report as an offense. You're like, don't look at those numbers. Just look at that. He has a fastball. He's got a curveball. He's changed. What pitch can you eliminate? If you're batting from the left side, doesn't throw the changeup quite as much. So lefty, fastball, curveball.
That's ripped to third, where Brian Anderson makes a diving stop and throws Taylor out from his knees.
And that's the other stats you might want to look at. That a lot of hitters have been successful against him on the first 2 pitches of an at-bat. I mean, they are hitting nearly 500 when they put the first 2 pitches in play, and that one, he just got robbed. Another look at our Volkswagen replay, and he probably was looking at Kike Hernandez yesterday and said, listen, I can make some plays.
Corey Seager takes ball 1. Yeah, Kike made 2 awesome defensive plays at short. Then Seager came on for him and made a great play of his own in the late innings of that game. A strike, and it's 1-1. This is in the 9th inning with Josh Fields on to try and close it out. With a speedy Derek Dietrich running, was able to get him.
Not an easy play, especially when you see the angle that he had to take to get to that ball. Usually when you're charging, you would love to get it to your glove side, but he was unable to, and with his momentum taking him to the third base line, he's still getting a good throw off.
2-2. Seager a good 7 inches taller than Dylan Peters. They're just 5'9". The left-hander rocks and deals. He misses low with a breaking ball. Full count. Out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Only his 11th major league start. His payoff. Seager pops it up to left. Dietrich. 2 out. Brings up Kike Hernandez, and Kike takes on the super utility role today by Art. 7 for his last 10 with 2 home runs.
Yeah, that constitutes a super utility player. Oftentimes that super utility definition gets thrown around, especially from one of our guys that we have there in our broadcasting team over there, Jerry. He's always going, I'm like, no, there's a difference. Utility player playing all positions, you get out there, but super, you need that bat in the lineup. And with the way Kike's been swinging it, yeah. You want that bat in the lineup, can play multiple positions, and multiple positions extremely well.
7th time this season he started at second. He's ahead of Peters 2-0. Said that he felt something click prior to the San Diego series and didn't get any results on that Sunday afternoon game against Arizona, but went into the batting cage as soon as the game finished to take some more swings and try to lock in whatever that feeling was that he had. And pretty much since then he's been red hot. That curve was through the glove of Real Muto, but it's called a strike. You don't often see that. 2-1.
Real Muto was really trying to frame that. That was one where he was just trying to get in, thinking it might have broke out of the strike zone.
3-1. And usually it costs you a strike.
Well, it does, but umpire wasn't worried about whether he caught it or not. He was calling it and saying, no, that crossed the plate.
See if Hernandez gets one to drive on 3-1. Here comes a pop-up, foul ground. And the count goes full. Peters caught up last September. 6 games in the majors. And an awesome debut on the first day of September. 7 shutout innings against Philly, but the numbers after that were not very good. Misses inside, and a 2-out walk to Hernandez keeps this inning alive.
Talking about something clicking for Kike. Sometimes not only is just their swings and their success, but you also know they're looking pretty good when they can take close pitches like that for ball 4.
He gets Bellinger to the plate with 2 out. That 0 for 3 last night ended his 9-game on-base streak, but he did drive in the game-winning run. Dave Roberts was really pleased with his approach with a runner at third and a tie game in that 8th inning to elevate the ball to right field.
It's one of those where you don't care. You're not looking at the 0 for 3. You know you contributed in a big way to help that team win. And that was a very big at-bat. It looked like early on, we've seen him in the past and earlier this year where maybe not taking that 2-strike approach from the very first pitch when needed, kind of getting big and then waiting till 2 strikes. He didn't wait yesterday and was rewarded. I know he got to 2 strikes, but you could tell he was shortening up and trying to get that ball in the air.
And he's shown flashes of a willingness to do that, a willingness to shorten up some with 2 strikes. But it's not been a consistent shortening with 2 strikes. It was really encouraging for Dave Roberts and the staff yesterday to see that. And a 2-1 win for the Dodgers. It's outside, ball 1. Now beating the Marlins 7 of their last 8 meetings back to last year. Takes a curve away and the count evens. Throws that curve about half the time when he gets 2 strikes on a hitter. Having a hard time landing it for a strike so far. Two. Got him swinging with a fastball, and that does it for the Dodgers in the first after an inning. No score. Spotlight tonight. Kenta Maeda already 31 wins since his debut at the start of 2016. That's more than any other Japanese pitcher during that stretch. And regardless of nationality, he's tied for 6th in the National League with Clayton Kershaw. with those 31 wins since the start of 16. After 1, 2, 3 first, he delivers a fastball for a strike to Justin Bour. When you consider the contract that he's on, which is very incentive based, it's been a great win-win for both sides really over his first 2+ years.
Well, I know there's been talk, and we've seen it. I mean, he went into the bullpen for the postseason and was just outstanding coming out of the bullpen. And he was in the bullpen at some point during this season. And there's talk about, well, do you keep him in the bullpen because he's had so much success? But if that were the case, and Dave Roberts has indicated no, he's a starter for us. But if that were to be the case, then I guarantee you there'd be some phone calls saying, okay, we're going to have to look at this contract and discuss it.
Right, because a lot of the incentives have to do with longevity throughout a season for him, numbers of innings and starts made, which you obviously wouldn't reach if you're moving to the pen. Here he comes with the 2-2. Bour hits a ground ball that'll get through off of the glove of Hernandez, and a leadoff single for Justin Bour.
Third baseman number 15, Brian Anderson.
Something flew in the eye of Kike Hernandez. You're frustrated because you make plays like he made yesterday, ranging far to his left, and you're like, how do I not come up with that one? I don't think he landed quite as cleanly as he liked to. He was feeling a little bit there.
I don't know if he maybe whiplashed his head down to the ground. Strike one on Brian Anderson. It was much more graceful last night. The two dive and pop-ups that he had.
He's still feeling something. Take a look at last night. Ball up the middle, ranging the same way, but that one he's gloving and then turning around and throwing a strike. But this one, watch how his knee kind of looks like it sticks a little bit and pops him up. And as your body's doing that, still to be able to throw a strike to first base. I think he's surprised he missed that one today.
Here's an 0-2, and Anderson fouls it back. Let's take another look here.
It looked like he hit. He felt something. I don't know if it was when he landed, maybe his hip.
You were right, though. I mean, it kind of looked like the reaction you'd have if you got something in your eye or if you hit your head. Good stop by Barnes. 1-2.
Yeah, I don't know. Now he looks like he doesn't know if he can see it or not. We're like, all right, if it's hit at you, make sure you can see it. Or they have to throw a double play.
Anderson unable to lay off this one. He's down on strikes. Maeda's second.
Right fielder number 1, Cameron Maben.
And it brings up Cameron Maben with 1 on and 1 out. You were talking about Kenta Maeda's contract and how unique its structure is. A lot of that came from his physical. Right after they had agreed that he would become a Dodger, there was some irregularities in that physical. And so the contract was built to where if he stayed healthy, he was going to be paid to stay healthy. It's a base hit over Seager. And they're first and second with 1 out. But again, that makes it so if he were to go to the bullpen, he wouldn't match any of those numbers that were put in there as if he is a full-time starter.
Right. And as you mentioned, that type of contract was more about health than it was about effectiveness.
Right. Yeah, on the very low end, it would have been 3 years or 8 years about $25 million. But on the high end, it could exceed $100 million if he's to match all of his potential innings markers in that deal. Here he comes to Miguel Rojas for the first pitch breaking ball for a strike. That 8-year deal actually matches the longest in franchise history with his left fielder, Matt Kemp. Oh, 2 in some crazy ways, still on that 8-year deal. Circuitous route to get back here, but oh, 2. Fly to center field. Chris Taylor has this one marked for the second out. Miguel Rojas now 1 for his last 19 with that fly out to center. From a guy who's 1 for his last 19 to a guy who is 4 for his last 51. 3 of those 4 hits, though, home runs over the weekend in Milwaukee, which was his former team. Debuted with the Brewers last September and then came over in the Christian Yelich deal this offseason. That one gets by Barnes, but he keeps it in the area, and the runners hold. Brinson grew up in Fort Lauderdale, just outside of Miami, rooting for the Marlins, going to games, and just some of his best memories growing up were that 2003 World Championship team. Lewis was 9 then. Favorite player was Juan Pierre. He's got Bohr at second and Maben at first. On this 1-0, he takes a strike. When he was a grade schooler, anytime that he had to draw a picture, write a paper about what he wanted to be when he grew up, wasn't just a baseball player, it was a Marlins player. And now here he is as their starting center fielder. On a 1-1 pitch, Brinson swings through it, and it's 1-2.
Always great to be able to live out a dream. Not only dream to play in the big leagues, but play for the team you cheered for when you were younger.
Maeda trying to get out of his second inning jam here. Here comes with a 1-2. Got him swinging. Got him to chase the slider. Despite a couple of singles in the inning, no damage done to the bottom of the second. California BMW Center today for exceptional offers, or visit SoCalBMW.com. And by Jack in the Box. Try the new Cholula Buttery Jack, part of the Buttery Jack family, only at Jack in the Box. Back in Los Angeles, bottom of the second, no score. Joe, Nomar, and Alana, game 2 of this series against the Marlins as the Dodgers try to match a season high by winning their 4th in a row. Going to be their 8th out of their last 9. Second inning for Dylan Peters begins with Matt Kemp, who has crushed left-handed pitching so far this year, and in a first pitch curve hits it foul. A couple other things Matt Kemp has done this year when you're looking at the batted ball profile, what's led to him having this jump in numbers. He's hitting the ball to all fields much better than he did last year. Takes inside, it's 1-1. He's also, and this is still very early, but he's doubled his launch angle. You see so many guys focusing on that. Two balls and a strike. Combine those couple of things, that's hitting it away from the defenders. His pull percentage had been really high in recent years, especially last year. Almost half of his batted balls were to the pull side. And he become much easier to defend when that's the case.
Well, what impressed me in Matt Kemp was the way he came into spring training. The way he's off, coming in shape. Obviously, all the talk about him. You know, was he even going to be in a Dodger uniform at any point, let alone at spring training?
Right.
And I think he took that to heart and was going to say, okay, had something to prove when he came into spring training.
On a 3-2, he drags that one off of the dirt and stays alive. He was at dinner with his friends. His agent calls him. This is during the offseason and says, hey, Matt, I got some news for you. You've been traded. And Matt says, all right, you know, it's a business. Where? His agent starts laughing. You ain't going to believe this. You're going back to the Dodgers. And Matt said, stop lying. Fouls another. We'll do the 3-2 again. He just didn't think there was any way that was a possible landing spot for him. And the Dodgers were honest with Matt right from the start. They told him they were going to try to move his contract. But with no deal found, they were open to him competing for this spot, and he's run with it. He hits a bullet down the line to left towards the corner, and it one hops into the seats. Leadoff double for Kemp.
Well, that is running with it. Look at the exit velocity at 111 miles an hour. And it's a good thing it ricocheted off the wall, because that would have hurt somebody. I mean, he crushed that ball.
First hit for the Dodgers this evening brings up Barnes. Outside, ball 1.
Yesterday, the Dodgers did a good job with a leadoff double in the 8th inning. They didn't have too many hits in yesterday's game. Obviously, that was late in the game. They're not looking to do that to necessarily sacrifice here or move them over the bunt, but still got to get the job done. Here's a great opportunity for Austin Barnes to get the job, move them over, especially for Austin. There's a time where sometimes when you're struggling early on, it might be, let's say you're pulling out, rolling over the ball. Well, it's times like this that can really help you out, get out of that maybe so-called slump, because now the job is just to stay inside the ball, go the other way. Even if you don't get a hit, you feel like you're contributing once you move the guy over.
On a 1-1 pitch, Barnes looks at a curve. It's in for a strike. And Dave Roberts, despite Barnes not putting up the same kind of numbers that he did last year, continues to really like the different little things that he does within his game. Whether it's the base running, long at bats, and always solid defensively. Of course, last night being an exception with his throwing error, but the guy that Dave Roberts feels like he can count on.
Oh, when he's right, he handles the bat better than anybody. Just putting the ball in play, moving guys over, driving it into the gaps.
Stays alive here. Something the Dodgers have done collectively much better during this nice offensive run over the last week. Dave Roberts saying today we've kind of gotten back to who we are, to who we want to be after that 4-9 start, but not a whole lot went right. Barnes punches one inside the bag. It's another 2-strike hit for the Dodgers. Barnes headed to second with an RBI double to open the scoring. Exactly what you and Dave Roberts are talking about.
Going the other way as we take a look at the Carl's cam. Very interesting choice of pitches, especially when you know, okay, there's a man on second base, nobody out. He might be trying to go away. They go with the fastball. Now, they didn't want it on the outer half and end up going there, but they also weren't set up inside either. And he goes with it, hits it down the line. Now it's the same thing for Yasiel Puig.
So back-to-back Kemp and Barnes doubles to open the inning. The Dodgers with a 1-0 lead in this second. And it is Puig going after the first pitch and hitting it foul. Still waiting for the Puig breakout.
And this for Yasiel, right? This is a little bit different than just getting it over. This is about staying inside and driving it. You are trying to drive it to that right center gap.
Not an 0-1 pitch. It's another foul.
And the reason I say that is where he's sitting in the lineup, you know, just moving him over. Then you have the 8th hitter, and then you have the pitcher coming up in Kenta. So this is about trying to maybe getting 2 chances to at least knock the guy in from second. So staying inside still. If you move him over, great. That's what you want to do. But this is about getting that hit to that right side.
Takes in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, we were talking about the 2-strike hitting for the Dodgers this season improving. 2 years ago, they were one of the worst 2-strike hitting teams in baseball. They weren't very good last year either, but the numbers have gotten better and better in the 3 years that Turner Ward's been the hitting coach. Dave Roberts has been the manager, and that's not a mistake. That's something that they preach and that they've focused on. A 1-2. Curves inside, 2-2. It's really a team-wide and a now organization-wide focus for the Dodgers. Sometimes as simple as just having a 2-strike approach.
That is so true. It seems like that's been going away more and more in today's game.
Another 2-strike pitch to Puig. And a bat lick. Yep, you're right. As those Dodger numbers have gotten better over the years with 2 strikes, around baseball, it's headed in the other direction. Takes it for ball 3. Just not as much shame in a strikeout anymore for whatever reason.
Or dancing in the box, not as much shame either.
Licking bats, dancing in the box. I think you should have incorporated a bat lick between batting glove fastenings.
I didn't need to add any more stuff than what I already did in the batter's box, that's for sure.
Barnes at second after his RBI double and a full count pitch to Puig. Driven foul.
You can see Yasiel. I mean, that's, like I said, he also knows. That's what I look at him. He's still pointing that way. He did that a couple of pitches ago when he fouled the ball off. He's thinking that way, you know. And it's not just because of the situation, but he also knows that's his strength when he's doing that. That's when he's hitting the ball consistently. We said this yesterday. He's hitting better than his 205 average this year. I think he's had a better approach. I don't think he's been unlucky early in this season.
Another 3-2, and Puig punches one again foul. I'm not recommending breaking into Dodger Stadium, but if you ever could sneak in here at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, you might find Yasiel Puig with Turner Ward on the field, working on driving the ball to center and to the right of second base.
And I talked to Turner Ward about that. Talk about there's a difference between hitting it over there and driving it over there. Sometimes you have a tendency to hit and you kind of get that little flare over to the right side. You're just trying to guiding it over there. No, it's talking about getting that behind it, the backspin, and driving it to the right side.
Ninth pitch of this at bat, and Puig bounces one to short. Barnes headed for third. Poor decision for the first out.
Yeah, bad decision by Barnes. I mean, this is just base running 101. When you're at second base, you look where the shortstop's playing behind you. You know where he is. Ball hit to your right, you stay. Ball hit to your left, you go.
And you could read his lips there. I don't know why I did that, he said. So Puig's at first, and with one out, it brings up Kyle Farmer.
You see, this is one where Yasiel, like, you know, after that you're going, okay, do I pick up my teammate? Okay, he made a mistake. Or do I go first move and steal the base? Now I'm back where I would have been one out, still man on second base. But now is not the time to do that. Reason being is, all right, it's a base running mistake, but here's an opportunity to turn the lineup over for the next inning when you got Farmer and Kenta hitting right after.
Looks like Barnes, by the way, might have nicked that right hand, his throwing hand on the slide. Yeah, gashed it pretty good.
It hurts more when you know you made a mistake.
Right. Had he been safe, a little bit outside, 1-1. Just put a Band-Aid on it, all good. Back-to-back starts for Kyle Farmer. It had been almost a week since he had an at-bat. With a couple of left-handed starting pitchers for the Marlins. Some good playing time for him so far in this series. On a 1-1 from Dylan Peters instead of toss over. There goes Puig. Farmer dribbles it foul.
Like Yasiel is like, man, I had such a good jump over there. Yeah, you did. And it's also a little bit different as a hitter. You know, as a right-hander, you can often notice the jump peak. But when you already have one strike on you, it's a little bit different. It's really tough to say, okay, I'm just going to take it to get two strikes.
You don't think Kyle read the graphic that they're really good with two strikes lately?
I don't think he got it.
No, I don't think so either. So now 1-2 pitch. Farmer yanks a liner to short, and that's caught by Rojas for out number 2.
Now batting
Maybe he did read the line because he hit that well. Just bad aim.
2 out, and here comes Maeda. What is he doing?
He wants Rojas to throw it.
Strike one on Maeda, and that's how he sends that message with a little tongue wag.
Well, you can tell they're teammates. They were teammates.
They were.
So I was like, here, will you throw it?
Rojas made his major league debut with the Dodgers 2014, which was Puig's second season. Another than 2. One ball, 2 strikes. Next pitch will already be Dylan Peters' 50th of the outing.
Well, it's only been 1 2/3 innings, and the Dodgers have already had 4 full counts in this game.
This one gets him. Second K for Peters, but it takes him 50 pitches to get through those 2 innings. The Dodgers get one on back-to-back doubles from Kemp and Barnes, and giving them reasons to dab.
Puig plays host to LA Laker Kyle Kuzma, and Kuzma puts his baseball skills to the test. Plus, Matt Kemp pays homage to an icon on Jackie Robinson Day. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers, presented by Cadillac. Friday after the postgame on Sportsnet LA.
Looks like it's going to be an especially good one. Friday night. 1-0 Dodgers, top 3. 9-1-2 coming to the plate in this inning. It'll be Dylan Peters to lead things off. Out of Indianapolis, which you don't necessarily think of as a baseball hotbed. Indiana, for that matter. Not a whole lot of warm weather months in that state to play the game. Some pretty darn good pitchers, though, when you're looking at the guys that have come out of there in the all-time wins list. All-time winningest pitcher from Indiana, former Dodger, Tommy John. 288 wins in his career. 164 of them came after he had the surgery. Number 2 on the wins list out of Indiana is a guy whose nickname is the Hoosier Thunderbolt. Amos Russi was his name. Hardest thrower in the 1890s. In fact, he's partially responsible for the rubber moving from 50 feet to 60 feet 6 inches in the 1890s because he was just throwing too hard for anybody to hit. So thanks to the Hoosier Thunderbolt, they moved it back.
That's a pretty cool nickname.
Sure is.
They call me the Hoosier Thunderbolt.
You can understand why. Maeda's in there with a strike. They discovered Russi when he was 16 years old at the Indiana State Fair. He won a bet that he could throw a baseball through a wooden fence. Nobody thought that he could. He did it. And he said, I can do it again if you want. The crowd started to gather to watch him. Started charging people to watch him throw baseballs through this wooden fence. 25 cents a person. Come one, come all. See the Hoosier Thunderbolt. Peters down on strikes. One of the people in the crowd happened to be a scout for an Indianapolis franchise. Just a short-lived franchise, but it was his first pro opportunity. And that scout watches him throw a fastball through the wooden fence and offers him a contract on the spot.
Was it more than 25 cents?
I bet it was. He made out that day, huh? Derek Dietrich, strike one.
Had a good arm and an entrepreneur.
Yeah, right. So it goes Tommy John, number 1, winningest pitcher from the state of Indiana. Amos Russi, number 2. A curve for a strike. Number 3, it's another pretty darn good nickname. Mordecai Three-Finger Brown. 239 wins for the Indiana-born Brown. They called him Three-Finger, which is ironic because he actually had 4.5. As a kid, and he lived on a farm, he lost his right index finger on a piece of farming equipment, or part of it at least. So down to 4.5 at that point. There's got to be more to the story to get him to 3 fingers,
yeah.
And there is. It's outside 2-2. Days after he loses his pointer finger in the farming accident, he's chasing a rabbit through the woods, trips on a stump, and breaks the other 4 fingers. That's foul. That obviously includes his thumb, right? I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty semantics of if a thumb's a finger or whatever. We're going to give him a souvenir here. But it left his middle finger permanently bent and his pinky finger paralyzed. And so while his hand was completely deformed at that point, the deformed hand led him to a grip that led him to a curveball that led him to the majors. And a Hall of Famer, Three-Finger Brown. Strike 3 and back-to-back Ks to open this third for Maeda.
Well, against Peters, he just went right after him with a fastball down the middle. This one comes back right with a fastball, climbing the ladder to get Dietrich for a second time. But then still 3 fingers was.
Well, I mean, let's see. You've lost one in a piece of farming equipment.
Right.
Kind of.
You just broke. You didn't lose the other ones.
No, but yeah, I mean, the paralyzed pinky, I suppose, that becomes a non-factor. It's a high drive to right center field off of the Batteria Nuto, and it leaves the yard to tie the game at 1. His second in his first week of action this year. A 1-1 game.
Realmuto just loves playing against the Dodgers. Now that's his 18th career game. He hit safely in 18 career games versus the Dodgers. And we were talking about it last night. He ended up making the last out, but we were talking about the threat of him coming to the plate in that very last inning. That he has the power to drive it all and has been his best hitter so far in this lineup. Coming into today batting .438. And showing off the power to right center.
A strike on Starlin Castro. Maybe one of the most underrated players in the National League. Problem is now he's going to be on a team that's going to be near the cellar all season. The other side of that is that he is now a standout without Stanton, without Ozuna, without Yelich. Very clearly one of the premier players on this roster. Ball one.
Be interesting to see what they do with him in the future. I can see them doing very similar to what they do with Buster Posey over there in San Francisco, where there are times where he's playing first base to kind of give him some rest from catching, because his bat's just too valuable.
Well, the other thing you could see is them continuing to tear down, and Real Muto being a piece that they could deal off and get a lot from. Only 27. Great athlete, great defensive catcher. Maeda gets Castro swinging, has 3 Ks in the inning and 6 total, but he allows his first home run of the year to the bottom of the 3rd, tied at 1. And Nomar, the Dodgers for the first time this year are above 500, sitting in an 11-10 and facing the Marlins here with a chance to really kind of put the foot on the gas and move forward.
And they have to continue doing that. They have been playing really good baseball. This is the type of baseball that Dave Roberts said, listen, be patient. We know this is the type of team we are. Just a matter of time. Got off to the early struggles. But, you know, you're right. He always says, too, first and foremost, win the series. They have an opportunity to do that. They really can against a struggling Marlins team. And then you worry about the next day for the going for that sweep.
Chris Taylor started this inning against Dylan Peters, and he's ahead of him 2-0. Hit a hot shot his first time, but was robbed of a hit by Brian Anderson diving at 3rd. On a 2-0, he takes a strike. Riley building a nice hitting streak. He's hit safely in 6 in a row. Setting the tone at the top of this Dodger order. 3-1. Got in on him and a pop-up. Rojas hit short for the first out.
Yeah, as a hitter, that's so frustrating. You know, you're leading off an inning, and you get into a hitter's count, 3-1. You're looking for that fastball against a guy who's not overpowering. Fastballs around the 93, 91, low 90s. And you get it and you pop it up to the infield.
Here's Seager. First pitch curve for a strike. You were known to then go down into the tunnel and.
Yeah, I would. I might need a new helmet after I broke it down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Ever come back and get you the helmet?
Oh yeah. And then you just play it off as if it didn't hit you, but you know it didn't. It hurt, but.
Right.
That one. Yeah, you're frustrated. Worst ones are.
Seager to right at Maben, who played in a bounce and it gets down. Seager to second. Go ahead running scoring position with one away in the third.
Now we know there are times where the ball here at Dodger Stadium can get in the lights and you lose it, but that one was just a poor read from Maben. It just kind of ate him up right there. Once he knew he didn't have a chance at it, he was just right in between. And let's see if the Dodgers can capitalize on this.
Fernandez coming up. Be interested to hear from Kike what exactly it was that was bothering him after that diving attempt at second earlier in the game. There was some whiplash, or he did get something in his eye. Or takes a first pitch strike. That, by the way, is ruled a double for Seager.
I have to get my eraser out. I was already writing it. I wrote down single and then, yeah.
Breaking ball lifted in the air to left center field. Brinson.
Number 35, Cody Bellinger.
With 2 outs, it's Bellinger. Fastball for a strike.
I was going to say, right, this at bat, this is one where you have to be aware of people hitting around you. What I mean by that for Cody, okay, you're the fourth hitter lineup, man in scoring position, but you're also aware of the guy hitting behind you and how well he's hitting. Matt Kemp got a righty, so this is one where you're thinking, okay, they might try to come after me here to be ready, rather than, okay, there's an open base and they're going to be very careful. So that very first pitch, that's one where you go, listen, I can just look for one. If he makes a mistake, the one I could drive.
Seager is second with 2 out. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Down and away for ball 2. Cody's family was in town over the weekend for the bobblehead giveaway. They're back in Arizona now. He said they came and got what they came for and got out. They got the bobbleheads and got out. 2-1. Sweeps away.
I'm sure they could have sent them a box.
And they did. They did, yeah. Said he got somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 of the bobblehead last year. Still has a few of them. Handed them out to friends and family and make for good charity giveaways too. He takes a walk, it kicks away and allows Seager to advance to third. So they're at the corners with 2 away and Matt Kemp comes up.
Number 27, Matt Kemp.
Hit a ringing double his first time and scored the Dodgers run when Barnes followed with a double of his own. Takes ball one. Mentioned that 8-year contract Matt Kemp is getting close to the end on. The Dodger scouts originally discovered him as a high schooler when they'd gone to watch a different player in Oklahoma. He's ahead 2-0. He said when scouts first started showing up to his games, he was thinking that they were college scouts. He just kind of assumed they were, because he said he had no idea that you could just go pro in baseball. This is early on in his high school days. He had a bigger interest in basketball much of his upbringing. Fouls it off 2-1. Dodgers drafted him in the 6th round. And he said at that point, even though he had some offers to play both baseball and basketball, he said, you know what, I'm going to take what money I can get in this slot and give it a shot. And 2 years later, he's making his major league debut at Washington on the 28th of May at old RFK Stadium. Called up to spell Kenny Lofton and J.D. Drew, who are getting towards the end of their careers at that point. Fly ball to right center field. Brinson and Maben. Maben's got room at the edge of the track, and that's the inning. Dodgers leave him at the corners, and after 3, we're tied at 1. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. We want to wish a happy 74th birthday to the answer to a nice trivia question. Who got the first save in Major League Baseball history? The former Dodger Bill Singer, 74 years of age today. He's back in 1969, took over for Don Drysdale in a game at Cincinnati. And the first year that save was an official statistic. He was the first guy to get one. 3 hitless innings for the save. Bohr looks at ball 1 from Maeda. Singer was an all-star that year as a starter. It was his only relief appearance of the year. In fact, pitched for another decade and only had 1 more save. But he had the very first. 1-1.
In 3 innings, you said?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the saves now.
Yeah, right. 1-2. And we talk about all the high strikeout totals around baseball, how that's trending in an historic direction right now. That's bounced back to Maeda. He stabs it and throws Bohr out. Nice play for the first out of the 4th inning. part of the reason I think that you're seeing the high strikeout totals, and there are a lot of reasons, but part of it can be attributed to the specialization of the bullpens and the matchups that you see guys going to, and the hard throwers that they bring in after hard thrower after hard thrower. Here's Brian Anderson with 1 out. At the knees for a strike. On pace to be the first month in the history of the sport with more Ks than hits. 0-2.
That one just boggles my mind. I mean, I think you said about the bullpen, guys coming in, matchups. Yeah, that's one factor. And I also just think the way people look at strikeouts now, it's no longer that big of a deal, I guess is the way to put it. And I also think that the way analytics has come in, and more it seems like guys are, they're always talking about working the count, getting deeper in the count. Well, try hitting with just allowing 2 strikes instead of 3 strikes for a strikeout. They're almost behind quite a bit, or allowing for that 1 strike to get by you. Now you're only giving yourself 2 chances to put the ball in play.
Maeda's 1-2. Anderson takes it low, 2-2. A lot more of the all or nothing. Willing to live with the strikeouts if it means you can hit for a little more power. As it always does, though, it's going to correct itself at some point. Clayton Kershaw getting ready for his start tomorrow. That's Danny Lehman, the game planning coordinator. You see that binder full of information that he's going through. Every guy's different. How much they want, how much they can afford to take in, how much they really can absorb. A little bit low, full count. Let's check in with Alana.
Guys, it's not just necessarily what is in the binder as far as information was concerned. Yasmani Grandal was nice enough to be with us on the pregame show, and he was talking about how he really has to massage personalities and egos. He said some guys like to be screamed at, a la Kenley Jansen. Some guys want to be massaged and talked to softly. It's just all dependent upon the pitcher himself as to what makes them tick, and you really have to learn that pitcher's personality to make sure that you're catching him and calling a game the way that's going to make the pitcher the most effective.
7 punch out for Maeda, 2 in the 4th. Thanks, Alana.
Well, now he has to go for the catcher. It also goes for the coaching staff as well. Hitting coach, pitching coach, Rick Honeycutt recognizing that as well. Turner Ward knowing how you have to talk to the hitters as well. They're the same. Also with regards to how much information individuals want from that end as well.
Cameron Maben with 2 out, looks at a slider for a strike. There's enough information out there where you could spend all day reading scouting reports. 0-2. Some guys do spend a ton of time on it, and that's how they best function. Others would rather not see it. Maeda to Maben, 1-2. And a pop fly to center field. This is a 1-2-3 inning for Kenta. When we come back, Rick Honeycutt, the Dodgers' fabulous pitching coach, visits live with Alana Rizzo. A 1-1 game, and as promised, here's Alana with Rick Honeycutt.
All right, Joe, thanks very much. Rick, in Kenta Maeda's first 3 starts, he had 2 starts in which he had at least double-digit strikeouts. Already 7 today through 4 innings. What's allowing him to get those swing and misses?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Kenta's definitely taking the aggression to the hitters, kind of like what we talked about, to go, like he was doing in the out of the pen. You see him attacking with his fastball, but his slider now has been really good the last few innings. And his split's been awesome this year. I think they're all swing and miss pitches, and a lot of fastball for him to have to keep him honest.
He is a starter. You want him to be a starter. He wants to be a starter, but he was so effective out of the pen in the postseason for you guys. What has impressed you the most about his transition back to the starting role and being aggressive?
Well, I mean, Kenta's been a starter his whole career, and of course, that's, I think, anybody wants to do. As being a starter, you want to be a starter. What I was impressed with was his willingness to go to the pen, and then how effective it was to have his pitch mix and go out there and just attack. So I think we've been able to trying to comprise that and taking that into the start mentality, and just take one batter, one inning at a time mentality, and it seems to be paying off.
Last night, Walker Buehler got his first major league start. He's come out of the pen for you, but he was impressive, was able to work out of traffic in that first inning. Likely going to start for you guys on Saturday, although not official. What did you like from the young right-hander?
Yeah, I mean, he's got, tremendous stuff. So I think now getting his feet underneath him, throwing a very solid game here. Obviously, we see the electric fastball. I think continue to be a you always want him to be a little bit on others' nerves, but I think he's got also the off-speed stuff that can also be very effective, and showed signs of a lot of good off-speed pitches. But at the same time, efficiency is going to take place. But that's also us getting to know him, how to use his pitches maybe a little bit more effectively for him, and him trusting it, and also the command.
You're so generous with your time. Thanks, Rick.
You bet.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you, Alana. Thanks to Rick for spending some time with us. A 1-1 game here in the 4th as Kyle Farmer climbs in against Peters. First pitch breaking ball, a strike. More than a decade as the pitching coach for Honeycutt, spanning 4 different managers. 1-1. One of the most valuable members of the organization, top to bottom. Draws on his 21 years of experience as a player. Farmer down the line, foul. This includes time with the Dodgers in the mid-'80s before going to Oakland, winning a world championship in '89 as a setup man for Dennis Eckersley. Chattanooga, Tennessee native. Farmer looks at strike 3, and Peters has a 1-2-3 inning. On to the 5th, locked at 1.
includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Top five tied at 1. Dodgers got their run on back-to-back doubles from Kemp and Barnes in the second. Marlins tying the game on a Real Muto home run in the third. The first one allowed by Maeda this year. Continuing to rack up those strikeouts, though. One of the top strikeout percentages in the National League so far this season.
We just heard Rick Honeycutt in that last half inning talking about the difference in Kenta Maeda this year. Kind of going, taking that attitude he had when they put him in the bullpen, right out of the gate, attacking hitters early on and challenging them, which has racked up those strikeouts. And it's funny, earlier we were also talking about how Kenta even said, before that kind of mentality, I was thinking about trying to go deeper in the game. I wasn't necessarily always just attacking right from the get-go, maybe being a little bit too fine with some of my pitches.
Bottom of the order for the Marlins here. And Maeda had said part of that was that in Japan he had to be like that because he was asked to last 7 innings most times. It was not as aggressive of a managing of the staff in Japan as you see now in modern Major League Baseball. And you don't necessarily have to save everything in the tank now, so he can be a little more aggressive.
What's interesting is early in Maeda's career here in the big leagues, he really looked at his third time through the lineup.
Rojas swings at the first pitch of the inning. Kemp in left with a running catch.
But Maeda early on, it was that third time through the lineup where the batting average really jumped up against him. And Dave Roberts would make adjustments. He would really try to see how deep in the game Maeda can go without maybe facing that third time through a lineup, maybe going to the bullpen. But interesting enough, you look at the splits now, it's kind of switched right now, even though it's a small sample size as far as that third time through the lineup. And he's faced 11 batters, 2 for 8, just a 182 batting average against going that third time through the lineup, as we see right there, the splits.
Ball on a strike on Brinson.
But that also might tell him a little bit, say, okay, if they're thinking about that, not that, okay, I'm just going to attack and I can't empty the tank, and knowing that the bullpen's going to be used and seeing the way Dave Roberts, and it's not just him, he does that with other pitchers.
Brinson down the line towards the corner. That is off of the wall. Brinson on his way to second with a 1-out double.
Pitcher, Dylan Peters.
And we talked about early with Maeda, his breaking ball, how it was just kind of spinning. We saw Dietrich strike out and a couple of breaking balls up in the zone that looked like they were supposed to break but didn't. Well, we saw where Barnes was set up. That was supposed to be down and away, and that just spun once again. And, well, Brinson didn't swing underneath that one.
No. Second extra base hit of the night for the Marlins. Now Peters up there showing bunt and taking a ball. Temperature down into the 50s as this game moves into the middle innings. One more in this series. Unique start time tomorrow. 4:35 first pitch to allow the Marlins to get back home at a more decent time at the end of their long road trip. Dodgers are off on Thursday, then they start a long road trip of their own. 4 games in San Francisco, including the doubleheader Saturday. 3 in Arizona, 3 in Monterrey, Mexico against the San Diego Padres. That's a strike 1-1. Alana touched on it a little bit in her chat with Rick Honeycutt, but there is a good chance that we see Walker Buehler again Saturday in that doubleheader. Because he's only a couple of years removed from Tommy John, he's not yet in a spot where they could bring him up right now and just have him be in the rotation the whole way and to have him available in October. And that's obviously the end goal. Strike two. But they time it out right. The hope is that Walker Buehler can be a big part of things in the second half of the season. Really with the gloves off and ready to contribute, most importantly, when October rolls around. 2-2.
What was the pitcher in it with Atlanta? Was it Minor who had Tommy John, and they elected to go where he start him out in the bullpen to reduce those innings and then put him kind of in that starting role in the back end?
Sounds right.
And you know, it was right around the time where they did it the year before with Strasburg, where they didn't do that, and he wasn't available for the postseason. And there was that discussion about how do you handle that. And I think with the Dodgers, they're kind of going, well, we don't want to put Buehler into the bullpen right now. We want to see him as a starter and start thinking of himself as a starter.
Peters puts it in play. Maeda juggles, throws, not in time. Perhaps Bellinger off of the bag as well. Is called safe. They're going to take a listen to what John Pratt has to say back in the video room.
And right away, Cody Bellinger was asking them to look to see that play. They want to review it. As we have a look at our Morongo slow-mo cam as Maeda unable to glove that cleanly. It helps to have a tall first baseman that can kind of stretch going into the runner, and yep, I think that's going to be overturned. Hopefully it won't take too long. Great stretch by Cody Bellinger there to keep that toe on the bag. I think there's a better angle. You can see the foot still on there.
How nice is it as an infielder to know that your first baseman over there is 99 times out of 100 going to bail you out?
That's great. It really is. I mean, to have a big target over there, but then to have a big target who can also do a great job picking the ball out of the dirt for you. He's a good first baseman. I had two of those that were just, talk about it. There were times you were throwing at. I had Derek Lee. I had Tony Clark.
Yeah.
I mean, guys who were so tall over there. There were balls that I would throw, and I'm going, oh no, that's in the stands. That's a souvenir. And they look like they just caught it near their. They just lifted their hand up barely, and it's like it's an out. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And these guys, wow. Sometimes too, the ones you think you're short hopping them, because they're so tall, they can actually stretch out, and it wouldn't short hop. They can still catch it on the fly.
And you're saying, I got that one there?
Yeah, and they could also pick it. They were great.
Cody's sister Ashley can now relate with the infielders because he scooped her slightly off target first pitch. Ceremonial first pitch Saturday.
Thanks. Way to pick me up, brother.
2 out, runner at second. Leadoff man Derek Dietrich hits the first pitch that he sees on the ground to Bellinger, who feeds Maeda. And that's that in the fifth. Halfway home in a 1-1 game. This Thrill to Drive sales event is going on now. Check out amazing deals on a stylish new Corolla. April 24th, 1962, Sandy Koufax tied a then Major League record for a 9-inning game with 18 strikeouts, matching the great Bob Feller at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. Dylan Peters with a strike on Kenta Maeda. The number's been topped 10 times since then. Roger Clemens, Kerry Wood, Max Scherzer have all reached 20 strikeouts in a game. Maeda smacks one that will get through for a leadoff single.
A lot of times starting pitchers have a little friendly game amongst each other about who can get more hits, and it looked like, all right, there you go. There's one for Maeda helping himself out. You know, it's interesting for this Marlins team when you look at where most of the runs have been scored upon their pitching staff. Their ERA in those middle innings from the 4th to the 6th, it's over 7.
Tiring starters and poor front end of the bullpen.
And
strike one on Taylor.
And that's not one of the numbers that the Dodgers necessarily are going over in their scouting report. I mean, these are definitely interesting numbers to know, but they have to know that they will be aware about when the guys are later as far as pitch count are concerned. When they get higher, how they have a tendency to maybe fatigue or become more hittable.
Taylor tonight has appeared to see Dylan Peters well. Didn't have the results to show for it, but clobbered one his first time and worked the count to 3-1 before popping out his second time up. On a 1-1 pitch. Takes it low for ball 2. Yasmani Grandal available off Dave Roberts' bench tonight. He has batting helmet and bat, which is one of the heavier bats you'll see players use. 34.5 ounces. Poked off the end of the bat to right. Cameron Maben runs under this one for the first out of the inning.
Shortstop, Corey Seager.
Here's Seager. Talked about Sandy Koufax a moment ago. Dave Roberts today asking him a couple questions that fans had floated from Facebook. Seager to left, finishes thought in a moment. Diving play by Dietrich. Tailing away from him. Maeda back to first, 2 away.
Second baseman, Kike Hernandez.
Well, Seager hit this hard, and Dietrich, as it was tailing away from him, he wasn't too sure of himself on that one. Still comes up with a nice play, robbing Seager of extra bases.
Bringing up Kike Hernandez with 2 out in a 1-1 game. Looks like Dietrich's in some pain out there. That's ball 1. Anyways, just to wrap that up, asked Dave Roberts, a fan did from Facebook, submitting a question. If you could pick any player and any pitcher all time to add to your team, who would it be? And the pitcher from all time that he picked was Sandy Koufax. Modern player that he picked, pretty easy choice, Mike Trout. Modern pitcher, Chris Sale.
Yeah, because he already has Kershaw.
That would not be fair, would it, to add that on top of it? On a 2-0. Hernandez on the ground, left side, gets under the glove of Anderson, but picked up by Rojas. And with a pitcher running, plenty of time to get the force at second. Through with 5 innings, still tied at 1. T-Mobile. On this date in 2003, Chase Utley's first career major league hit, a grand slam. And then the accompanying story that's such a good one, and bear with me while I tell it again, but John Kruk, the prankster in the clubhouse, pulls Chase Utley in. This is after the grand slam, after a great win. Larry Boa, the manager's in there. The GM, Ed Wade, is sitting in there. They say, Chase, sit down, man. Listen, the paperwork that we had to submit to make you officially part of the roster, it didn't make it to the league office in time. So Chase is looking around like, okay, this is out of my control. What does this all mean? And they said, well, first thing is the Phillies are getting fined $250,000, Chase. Second thing is we got to forfeit any game you've played in. So we got to forfeit today's win. And that obviously means your grand slam, your first hit, yeah, it didn't count. It was a prank, obviously. He did buy it, and there's video of this. So I don't know, I've told it many times, but it's a great story to think back of the Silver Fox being that rookie who's being pranked. He's such a different, in such a different spot now as far as the totem pole to the clubhouse. This game's tied at 1, 6th inning. Joe Davis, Nomar Garciaparra, and Alana Rizzo. As Kenta Maeda goes back out there. So here's Real Muto to open this inning. His solo home run tying the game back in the 3rd. Takes ball 1.
Well, back in the 3rd, we talked about the threat in this Marlins lineup, and Real Muto probably being the biggest threat, coming in, hitting over 400 with some power and showing off that power to right center.
A career high 17 homers a year ago. That was his 2nd this year. Takes the slider off of the plate for ball 2. Talked about Matt Kemp and his upbringing in Oklahoma, same place that Real Muto grew up. On a 2-0. Strike 1. All-American kid. Played 3 sports, was all-state in all of them. State champion wrestler. Won a football state championship as a quarterback. He was a 4.0 student. He had a 30 on his ACT. He was going to go play college baseball at Oklahoma State before the Marlins drafted him in the 3rd round. On a 2-1 pitch. Unable to lay off a slider that caught the corner anyway. 2-2.
Good example of things that we often, I always preach. Don't specialize. You have so many kids specializing at a young age. Be an athlete. In numerous sports, they teach you so much. Each and every one of them.
Flips this one to right center. That's where Chris Taylor will run to it with the first out of the 6th.
Second baseman Starlin Castro.
You can show your mom how special she is. Take her to Dodger Stadium on Sunday, May 13th, when the Dodgers close out the Red Series. The first 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mother's Day cosmetic bag, compliments of Cedars-Sinai. Visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
The Reds, the only team in the National League having a worse go of it than these Marlins so far. Cincinnati 4 and 18. Castro grounds it to 3rd. That's a tough bounce for Kyle Farmer to glove, but he does, and he throws him out 2 away.
That's all you can do on that one, is just throw your hands at it and pray it gets in that glove, because this is right when it's hit. You know you're in that middle hop. The in-between hop right when it's hit, because you're like, oh, and then you know your feet are just kind of cemented in there. Oftentimes, Chris Woodward always talking about kind of going through the ball, but once you know, you're like, oh, I'm not in that position to go through it. You just plan and say, all right, now I just got to trust my hands. That's exactly what he did and came up with a great play.
2 gone for Bohr. Ball 1. Two and 0. Bohr 1 for 2 tonight with a single. It's one of the 4 hits against Maeda. They struck out 7, walked none. And he's fallen behind Bohr 3-0.
With the power that Bohr has, don't just assume he's taking right here.
There's the first walk.
Third baseman Brian Anderson.
Now that's some stirring down in the Dodger bullpen. It's the newest Dodger, Daniel Hudson. Dave Roberts wasting no time in getting him up and warm.
Dave Roberts in his pregame scrum was talking about wanting to get Daniel Hudson in the game today. Says, well, obviously we'll see how the game plays out, but that was his intentions.
Guy that's had close to a decade in the major leagues, and bouncing ball up the middle. Corey Seager able to get to it. Feed Hernandez. That's the inning. So the point being, Dave Roberts wasn't necessarily looking for a soft landing, so he has no problem getting Hudson ready to come into a tie game. Mercedes-Benz in a 1-1 game in the 6th inning. It's about the pitchers. 7 Ks for Maeda tonight. Been able to strand some traffic on the bases. And Dylan Peters, who averaged more than 20 pitches per inning over the first 3, has settled in with a couple of 10-pitch innings in the 4th and the 5th. So he's out there to handle the 6th. And it looks like Maeda's night is finished. Cody Bellinger leads this inning off and ducks out of the way of a high curve. It's the 90th pitch of the night for Peters, whose season high is 95. It's behind 2-0.
Yeah, it looked early on like the Dodgers were really making Peters work. Looked like they were going to get him out of the game early, but they couldn't figure him out, and Peters really settled in.
High strike, 2-1. He's walked a pair tonight. That includes Bellinger his last time up. Reigning Rookie of the Year on 2-1. Rips a curveball by the bag foul. Strike two.
Cody was not getting cheated on that swing.
Sure wasn't.
He was trying to hit that one out of the stadium.
Now a 2-2. So the next one will be the 95th for Peters, matching his season high. It's another 2-2 to Cody Bellinger, and it's inside to run it full. Another pitcher's duel in this series. Dodgers winning 2-1 last night, getting the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 8th. Bellinger strikes out on a high fastball.
Once again, just climbing the ladder, getting that high strike or get that swing and miss, borderline strike. Might have been just a little bit out of the zone. He's got a few of the Dodgers swinging at that pitch.
That's going to do it for him. Don Mattingly lets him face the left-handed Bellinger, but with the righty Kemp coming up, into that bullpen he goes. Nick Whitgren coming in a 1-1 game. Appearance this season out of the Marlins pen.
Yeah, coming at you with a fastball, changeup, slider. Once again, not a very overpowering fastball. Average about 93 miles an hour, low 90s. Interesting thing is that his splits, when you look at versus left-handed batters versus right-handed batters, the same. It is that 250 mark.
And for Don Mattingly, who does not have a single left-hander in his bullpen, it's nice when he can have guys that can retire both sides. Matt Kemp with one out and the base is empty. Fouls the first pitch straight back. So the two Oklahoma guys we're talking about standing right next to each other right now, Realmuto and Kemp. Not just both from Oklahoma, but from about 3.5 miles apart at rival high schools. Kemp was a Midwest City Bomber. Realmuto went to Carl Albert High School, which was in Midwest City. Although Kemp 6 years older, so they didn't play head-to-head. The kind of star that Kemp was in baseball and basketball. Figure Real Muto is probably a kid at those games marveling at what Kemp was doing against his Carl Albert Titans. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kemp plays off a slider. Count evens 2-2. Bullseye for strike 3. Wiggren gets Kemp and 2 gone in the 6th.
Catcher number 15, Austin Barnes.
That had a nice little tail to that fastball. As a hitter, it's easy to give up on it because it starts off the plate. And you're thinking, all right, that's a ball right out of his hand, and a nice little tail in action. He gets to not only just the outside, but low and outside. It's a good pitch.
Tip your cap,
Yep.
right? So at 2 gone, it's Barnes. He swings through a fastball, 0-1. Wiggren, born here in Los Angeles, Torrance, California. Grew up in Indiana. It's ahead of Barnes, 0-2.
Just looking at so far these 3 pitches for Barnes. The one he missed, upset with himself, fastball, it's usually when he hits, and then he takes the next one right down the middle, and you're going, it's one, sometimes you're overthinking it a little bit. And then what's not so much the ones you're missing, but also the ones you're fouling off, like that last one. It's a good take there. It was just out of the zone.
So now 1-2. And Barnes fouls it off. We'll do it again. Barnes drove in the only Dodger run of the night with a double in the 2nd after Kemp had started that inning with a double of his own against the team that drafted him. On another 1-2 pitch. Another foul ball. Next one will be the 7th of this at bat. Wiggren to Barnes with another 1-2. Takes the slider away that evens the count. From Southern California, Riverside, to Arizona State, to the Marlins, and then the Dodgers. It's another one foul, continuing to make Wiggren work. It's a little bit like Lewis Brinson, who was traded to his hometown team, playing for the Marlins now. Barnes traded to the team that he grew up watching, coming to games to see here at Dodger Stadium. He's worked it full. He can reach Puig with bat. Tied at 1, bottom 6. The 10th pitch from Wickren to Barnes. Popped up. Real Muto ends the inning. We've played 6. The Dodgers and Marlins still tied at 1. Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by SoCal Gas. For energy efficient rebates on qualifying appliances, go to SoCalGas.com/rebates. Back in Los Angeles, Dodger debut coming for Daniel Hudson, who was just activated today. Guy that's pitched parts of 8 seasons in the majors with the Diamondbacks, the White Sox, most recently the Pirates, and the Dodgers excited to see what he's got.
Dave Roberts asked before the game about Daniel Hudson. He says, listen, his arm velocity, the arm strength is still there. They said, what do you compare him to? He said, kind of like JT Chargois, talking about the arm slot, some of the movement.
5 games in Oklahoma City for the Dodgers. Didn't give up any earned runs. Cameron Maben to lead the inning off against him. Hudson's first pitch, low and away. That's a strike, 1-1. Well, Hudson, similar to a lot of pitchers in that he underwent Tommy John surgery. The thing that sets him apart is that he didn't just come back from that. He had to do it all over again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So he comes back from Tommy John. He's rehabbing in Double-A in Jacksonville. Retires the first batter that he sees. He's hitting 95 miles per hour. Retires the next batter. Retires the side in order in his first inning on a mound in more than a year. And then feels something in his elbow. He strikes out Maben in his first at bat as a Dodger pitcher for the first out of the 7th. And yes, he had torn his UCL again and underwent Tommy John surgery a second time and came back.
It's not easy to do, and not just from the obvious reason from the injury standpoint, from the physical side, but from the mental side. One thing is to have it and then be fine and then maybe a few years later, but to have it right after you just come back.
Rojas bunts one in the air, back to Hudson, 2 out. And the tedium and the loneliness that comes with a rehab.
And then
Center fielder, number 9.
and then wondering, you always
Brinson.
wonder after surgery, is it going to be the same? Can I depend on it? And then to go out there and to do that, see, can you depend on it again, even after that, to have to battle back from 2 and to erase the doubt in your mind that you're going to be okay?
Here's Brinson, tied in the 7th. Sharp looking slider at the knees for a strike. One and one. Brinson able to lay off this slider. 2 balls and 1 strike. And so Hudson missed almost all of 2012, all of 2013, almost all of 2014. You go back to the year before his first Tommy John surgery. Daniel Hudson made 33 starts for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It was really good. 16 wins, at a 3.5 ERA. More impressive than that, though, is what he's done to get back to a major league mound. Gets in on Brinson, a ground ball to third that's fouled, and it's 3-2. He's transitioned into the bullpen. 3 consecutive years out of the pen, couple with Arizona, then last year with Pittsburgh, when he made 71 appearances for the Pirates. The payoff. Hudson's got a 1-2-3 Dodger debut. By Nissan. One more in this series, and note the start time. It's kind of an odd one. 4:30 tomorrow afternoon before the road trip begins over the weekend in San Francisco and on to Arizona and on to Monterrey, Mexico. For now, Dodgers trying to get their 4th consecutive win, their 8th out of their last 9, and they're in a tight one. 1-1 bottom 7, and Puig the lead off against Whitgren. His first pitch is hit foul. Cassiel 0 for 2 tonight, 1 for his last 11. And it's gone from being a start full of bad luck to a frustrating few weeks to almost a month now. Puig's hitting at 200. It's up and in and a ball, 1-1. Turner Ward and those closest to Puig maintain that he's really close to breaking out and getting really hot. On a 1-1 pitch. Puig pops it up on the right side of the infield. It's Bohr.
Well, you can celebrate Justin Turner's 2017 NLCS game-winning 3-run homer on Wednesday, May 9th, when the Dodgers host Arizona. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance at Dodger Stadium and take home a Justin Turner walk-off home run bobblehead presented by State Farm. Visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
Guy that's getting ready to bat here is a pinch hitter, Max Muncy, is one of the men that's trying to fill in for Turner at third. Takes a strike from Whitgren. Well, the offense as a whole has gotten it going. Third base has still been a problem spot. Production from there among the worst in baseball for LA. 0-2. Perfectly placed fastball riding over the outside corner. 2 up and 2 down for Whitgren here in the 7th.
Dave Roberts trying to find somebody they can put up there to just get something started. Whitgren just painting the outside corner. Saw him make a nice pitch to Matt Kemp. Just kind of down and away, hitting the corners, hitting the edges.
And now Jock Peterson to pinch hit. 2 gone in a tie game in the 7th. Whitgren deals and Peterson watches strike 1. Since Seager doubled in the 3rd inning, the Dodgers are 1 for 14. And that lone hit belongs to Kenta Maeda. Thankfully for the Dodgers, the pitching has been good. And so right in this one, tied at 1. Ball and a strike. That's kind of been the story for this team as they've won 7 of 8. 2.28 ERA for the team during that run. Peterson ahead, 2-1. Strike called, 2-2. Dave Roberts told the assembled media before the game today that he wants to continue to get Jock Peterson opportunities. Off of the bench here against a righty reliever in the 7th, taking high and working the count full. Stays alive.
Good job by Jock Peterson protecting right there. That was a borderline pitch. That would have been on the corner again. We've already seen Whitgren paint some of these corners. Good job staying alive.
So another 3-2 and ball 4. First base runner against Whitgren as Peterson draws the 2-out walk.
Center fielder number 3, Chris Taylor.
Back to the top and Chris Taylor. Guerrero, 6'8" hard-throwing right-hander we saw last night. Getting ready to go. 2 out here in the 7th. Wickren trying to finish off his 2nd inning of work. So here we go. Wickren to Taylor with the first pitch. Fastball at the knees for a strike. Up and in on Taylor for ball 1.
We're able to look at the replay and you see that it wasn't close. It was in. And I'll tell you what, those wake you up. And a lot of times get you mad and get you closer to the plate and say, okay, I'm going to drive this one.
See what he does with the 1-1 pitch. He drives a base hit to left and extends his hitting streak to 7 games. Something brewing with 2 out. First and second for Corey Seager.
Really good job by Chris Taylor. That fastball comes up and in. A couple of things thinking. One, as a hitter, I got to speed up. And you, like we said, you get angry and say, I'm going to drive this fastball. But then able to stay back on a breaking ball and stay on it. Doing a good job.
That's going to do it for Wickren. Here comes Don Mattingly. Seager's going to have to deal with Guerrero. Much to the chagrin of the fans with the back-to-back mound visits here. Here he comes, all 6-8 of him. Tied at 1 in the 7th.
Then the 1988 World Series team will be reunited before the Dodgers host the Reds at 6:10. If you're one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance, you'll also receive a 60th anniversary cap. It's all part of the Alumni Game weekend, presented by Security Benefit. Visit Dodgers.com/alumni game.
Tied at 1 in the 7th. Tyrone Guerrero comes on, and don't be deceived by the ugly numbers, because this guy, as we saw last night, can be tough to deal with.
Yeah, it was just early on this year where they scored some runs off of him, but since then, he's been lights out, coming at you, averaging 97, 98 miles an hour, touching 100.
And he's pretty much touching you by the time he releases the ball.
It out in front of your face.
Yeah. Peterson at second and Taylor at first as Corey Seager takes ball 1 high at 97.
That was what made Randy Johnson just so tough. And he really got out there, and he also had that 3-chord delivery, and it felt like he was releasing it right in front of you.
Here comes a 1-0. A little bit in for ball 2. "15 of the last 20 outs that Guerrero's recorded have been strikeouts." Comes ready and deals 2-0. Did he lay off? He did. 3 balls, no strikes.
You know, Dave Roberts is not afraid to give his hitters a 3-0 green light. You have to make sure, and you got to be really confident in your mechanics right now to go ahead and get after it.
A high strike, 3-1. Trying to rally with 2 outs here in the 7th and take a late lead for the 2nd night in a row. Guerrero's 3-1. Seager bloops it foul, and it's full. Runners to get a head start. There they go. Here it comes. Seager slashes it foul.
So many times when you might be struggling, or your swing might not be exactly where you want it to be, you always go back and you show, okay, that 3rd striker, he's striking out. But oftentimes it's the balls you should be hitting that get you, that frustrate you, the foul balls, such as that one right there.
Been all hard stuff so far from Guerrero. Does have a slider as well. Another payoff pitch. It's another fastball, and it's low to load the bases. So Seager earns the walk. And instead of Kike Hernandez, it'll be Chase Utley pinch hitting.
Well, the Silver Fox coming in, going to the veteran from the left side. You look at Tyrone Guerrero. We talked about how don't let the ERA fool you. But if you look at his splits, left-handed hitters coming in are batting .350 versus right-handers batting just .185. Now, that once again could be early on when his ERA was elevated due to his early outing struggles.
And how about this, on the 15th anniversary of his first major league hit, which was a grand slam, he bats with the bases loaded in the 7th. Ball 1. And boy, as uncomfortable as Guerrero's going to make hitters feel, Chase Utley has a tendency to make young pitchers feel just as uncomfortable. The 1-0. That's a strike.
Chase Utley's been hit 200 times. He's not afraid to be 201 off 97.
No.
Not with the bases loaded.
Bases loaded, a 1-1. First slider we've seen him throw, and Utley calmly took it for ball 2.
That's one of the things that both the catcher and the pitcher recognize when a batter is able to take. They make you feel like, uh-oh, he's on that pitch.
Been one of the top pinch hitters in baseball so far this year. And a tie game in the 7th on a 2-1 pitch. A pop fly foul, 2-2.
That's a good spot for a fastball when you're throwing 97, 98. It's top of the strike zone. Really difficult to try to get that barrel to that ball. Talk about trying to get that barrel on top as best you can, or that's what you're thinking. That's the mindset. Try to not pop that ball up.
Two-two. Down and in, ball 3, and nowhere to put Chase Utley. Dodgers lead 2-1. A pinch hit, bases loaded walk for the Silver Fox.
First baseman number 35, Cody Bellinger.
You need Chase Utley, veteran player, doesn't play this game a long time, sees a pitcher out there, walks the guy before. You knew he was taking till he got a strike. He did that. He took a strike right down the middle and then just works it, fouls off some tough pitches, and works a walk. We talked about it. I'll tell you that, on that slider, the way he took that slider was telling. Because when you have a guy throwing 97, then you take a slider and you're not jumpy at it, you just kind of like recognize it out of his hand. Impressive at bat.
Still loaded, and Guerrero far from out of the woods. Here's Cody Bellinger with a chance to break this thing open. Power against power. First one. Had one to drill and fouled it. That's when you're talking about that you tend to think back on if things don't end the way you'd like.
Yeah, you're going to go back. This one, you go back and you look at the video and say, where was that pitch? And you're like, oh, it was right down the middle. He gave me one, and I pulled out just a little bit and barrel dropped, and I fouled that off.
Off the end of the bat. It is caught at third by Anderson, up against the extended netting to finish the inning. But it comes after the bases loaded walk for Chase Utley. They rally with 2 out to take the lead. 8th inning, and we check in with the guys in the studio for a preview of Access Sportsnet Dodgers, presented by your Southern California Ford dealers.
All right, thanks, Joe. The Dodgers benefiting in a big way by 3 two-out walks from the Marlins there in the bottom of the 7th inning. Coming up after the game, Ned and Jerry will break down Kenta Maeda's night and also what we hope is a 4th consecutive win.
All right, John. Chase Utley's bases loaded walk has the Dodgers in front by a run, and we look back at it on our top-tier play brought to you by Arco.
Well, after that bat before, you base on balls. He's taking a strike. There's it. There it is. Lays off that one. Keeps the bounce back. Fouls off one up in the zone. Sees that one. That one's tough to lay off of. That one a whole lot easier for ball 4.
Tony Cingrani whips the first pitch in there for a strike on Tomas Telis. A few defensive changes for you. Peterson in center. Muncy at third. And Chris Taylor stays in the game, moving from center to second. Cingrani in there with strike 2. And Tony Cingrani, his last couple of outings against the Nationals, was coming in looking like a different guy, breathing fire out of that bullpen. Wrapped it around the plate, ball 1.
That was close. That was a really good pitch. That was one where you know the hitter just gives up on because it starts off a ball and it's like, whoa, might have caught the corner.
Dodgers have kind of been searching for somebody to take hold of that high leverage role. On the mold of Brandon Morrow or Joe Blanton from the year before that. Daly stays alive. So far it's been Cingrani that's the closest thing to that. 11 games, a .216 earned run average. Hope that his fresh haircut didn't sap any of his strength.
Now it looks good.
It does look good, yeah. Clean.
It's on the strength.
Oh, the strength too, yeah.
Both equally.
Haircut looks good. Speed gun looks good. The results look good. Opens the inning with a strikeout.
Just climbs the ladder with that fastball. A lot of times what sets that up was the pitch he took. That breaking ball in the outer half as a hitter, even though it was a wall, you're going, gosh, that was too close to take. So now you feel like you have to really expand your zone and make sure you're protecting. You go after a high pitch.
Strike 1 on Dietrich. And I'm telling you, look at these shots we're getting of Tony Cingrani between pitches. The intensity in his eyes. Not that he's not been an intense guy before, but he seems to have taken it to another level. He's just owning the position that he's in like, high leverage spots.
Give me the ball back. Here we go. Let me get on the mound. I'm going to attack. Attack mode.
1 ball and 2 strikes. We heard on Sunday night on the ESPN broadcast, Dave Roberts called him a savage. Crack bat flare to short center, base hit for Derek Dietrich.
Catcher number 11, JT Realmuto.
That's one of those where you tell yourself, don't change a thing. I mean, that one shattered the bat off the end of the bat. But that brings up with a man on. A guy who's had his way with the Dodgers throughout his career. And their hottest hitter, Realmuto.
Hitting .400 in his career against the Dodgers. You mentioned it earlier, but a hit in all 18 games that he's played against them in. That's a balk called on Cingrani to move the tying run into scoring position. That's the first balk he's been called for in 2 years.
Cingrani looks. What do you do here? I don't know how that is a balk. Not like he was even going home. He looked straight, and he did stop. That's a problem. That's a problem where you're not allowed to argue balk, but sometimes you're not arguing. You just want to know.
Ball one.
Another look. Come set. Oh, yeah, I mean, he really stepped over there. I've seen a lot worse where you're stepping toward home plate and they call. If that's what he's calling, he wasn't close.
Falling behind 2-0. Are they saying perhaps that he double set?
I don't think that, because once you come set, even when he's been doing that, that's been usually
right.
It's not what we saw Pedro Baez do, where
spring training.
No, this was
2-1.
It looked like more if he was calling the way he stepped, going too much to home plate, but that wasn't it either. That looked really good.
Puts him into a more difficult spot here. Marlins' best hitter with a tying run in scoring position and one out in the 8th inning. The 2-1. High pop fly into short left center field. Here comes Peterson to make the catch. Calling it at the last moment with Seager peeling off. Kemp was in the vicinity as well. 2 out.
Second baseman number 13, Starlin Castro.
And it brings up Castro. Real Muto has been the best Marlins hitter since he's arrived about a week ago, but on the full body of the season, this has been their best hitter. Starlin Castro. Upstairs with ball one. Old National League Central foes. Former Red against the former Cub. Two balls, no strikes. That's a base hit to left field for Castro to tie this game at 2. A 2-out RBI double for Starlin Castro. And for the second night in a row, the Marlins have evened the issue in the 8th.
Well, even more you want to know what that call was for the balk, what he did wrong for there, because now it really hurts Cingrani here, and Castro coming up big, picking up his team with that double.
As good as Castro's average has been in the early going, that is only his 3rd extra base hit of the year. Now the cleanup man Bohr with a go-ahead run in scoring position. Last night it was Austin Barnes' throwing error that moved the potential tying run into scoring position. It became the tying run. Dodgers overcame it, scoring in the bottom of the 8th. Tonight it's the balk. 1-1.
That may not even been Cingrani's fault. Like I said, but that's the problem. I just wanted to get an explanation, be able to go out there and say, what did you see? Nice stop by Austin Barnes.
Think we'll ever get to the point where the umpires are mic'd up to the stadium, crew chief, to give an explanation, maybe not on a play like that, but on reviews like in the NFL.
Right.
2-1. Bohr hits it foul, 2-2. It was against Chagua in the 8th inning last night. It's against Cingrani tonight in the 8th. On a 2-2. It's over Bohr's head, crumbling to the ground to get out of the way. Ball 3. Strikes him out. But the Marlins tie it against Cingrani, who shoots a look over to Joe West, still wondering what the balk came from. It wound up crucial. Castro's double ties it. Mercedes-Benz for tomorrow's game. It's Trevor Richards for the Marlins and Clayton Kershaw with his .245 ERA. Start of the homestand against Scherzer. He'll finish it against Richards, and again that is a 4:30 start time tomorrow afternoon here at Dodger Stadium. To the bottom of the 8th we go, tied at 1. And Drew Steckenrider on to pitch for the Marlins. He's one of the top arms out of that bullpen. Really good numbers, not just this year, but in his 2 major league seasons, an ERA around 2. Facing Matt Kemp, who's seen him 3 times in his career and struck out all 3 times. Steckenrider, 27 years of age, out of Atlanta originally. He played his college ball at Tennessee. Kemp grounds one to third. Anderson's got it for the first out. Kenley Jansen.
Catcher number 15, Austin Barnes.
And here comes Barnes with one away. Barnes' RBI double in the 2nd inning started the scoring. Dodgers got 1 more in the 7th. Marlins getting their runs in the 3rd and in the 8th. Ball 1. Two and up. 2-1. But a lot of pitches, it seems like the Dodgers have had a chance to barrel up tonight that they've fouled off.
We were just talking about that earlier. That's what's the frustrating part. Some of these guys who are just not quite right, not themselves just yet. That it's not the ones that final pitch say on a strikeout, or where they say, "Gosh, you're going after bad pitches. You got to." They're getting good pitches. They're just fouling them off.
On a 2-2, Barnes looks at strike 3. 2 up and 2 down for Steckenrider in the 8th.
Right fielder number 66.
Baez has joined Jansen. Grani was fuming following that inning, going back down into the dugout after the balk.
Rightly so. We've looked at it again over and over. He hasn't done anything different that he's done all year long.
Puig chases here.
And more and more I looked at it in between the innings, I think he just fooled Joe West. Joe West didn't know what to do. I think he fooled him too. It was the wrong call and it cost him.
Oh, and 2. Look out. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now ball 2. Puig shooting a glance out there at Steckenrider. The big fella won't be intimidated. 6'5", 220, deals 2-2, and Puig pops it off the end of the bat to right center. Maben is there, and that is a 1-2-3 inning for Steckenrider, sending us to the 9th and a 2-2 game.
A run on the balk call. We're going to have a couple of different angles right here. He stops there, so we're testing that. He's moving toward first base. We see that on that angle. Okay, well, let's give a different look here. Anything odd here? Nope. Steps towards first and he throws. And then they call it. Here's a better angle. You're trying to wonder, okay, did he step too much toward home plate? Well, here's a really good angle to see that. No, look how far he is going over there to first base. That's not even close. So I don't understand it. Still don't get it. Called it, and it cost him.
Trying to read the timing on it, it looked like it came on the step. It looked like that's what Joe West was calling. And when his hands went up and he called the balk. It'll be Baez to handle the ninth in a tie game, his 11th appearance this season, carrying in a sub-2 earned run average. Instead of Jansen to try and save it. It'll be Baez to try and keep it tied to the bottom of the ninth. Heart of the order coming up here. It's Brian Anderson to lead it off, 0 for 3. Starts him with an off-speed pitch and misses. 1-0. Anderson corks a base hit to left to open the ninth.
Number 1, Cameron Mason.
And some hard contact tonight for the Marlins. Offense coming to life. It's part of a road trip where they've really struggled to hit it. And here's Cameron Maben. Marlins trying to snap a 5-game skid. Opened the season by splitting 4 games against the Cubs, but they've gone 3-15 since then. The bottom 3 in the majors in runs per game, and the bottom 3 in the majors in ERA. Giving the Dodgers all they can handle through these first 2. Started him with a slider and missed. One ball, no strikes on the former 10th overall pick of the draft. So the Detroit Tigers back in 05 at a high school in North Carolina. He's an Asheville, North Carolina native, where his summer job growing up was a bat boy for the Asheville Tourists, the minor league team in town. Bottom of the zone, strike 1-1. It's the same job that Cal Ripken Jr. once held. When Cal Sr. was the manager there in Asheville. And Cal Jr. grew up with Maben's father, Rudy. On a 1-1 pitch, Maben takes it low, 2-1. Bull gets a strike. A big call makes it 2-2.
You can understand why Maben's asking about that one, because that looked low. As we check out the pitch cast, it was really low.
Baez deals. Maben pulls one down the left field line. That's a base hit. Up against the wall. Anderson on his horse. Headed for the plate. He will score, and the Marlins have taken a 3-2 lead. Anderson a leadoff single. Maben follows it with a double. And the Marlins getting one against Cingrani in the 8th and one against Baez in the 9th have their first lead.
Well, after he gets that call on the low slider, thinking he can beat him with a fastball, doesn't get in there enough, and Maben puts a good swing on it and makes him pay for it. Grabbing a double down the line, and Anderson hustling all the way around from first.
Still nobody out, and Miguel Rojas comes up. Bunts it up along third. Barnes will play it foul. That was the 4th extra base hit of the night for the Marlins, by the way, which is noteworthy because they're dead last in the majors coming in extra base hits. Swings away now and fouls it off 0-2. Not just last in the majors right now, but on pace to finish with the fewest extra base hits in a 162 game season. It goes back to 1962. Only time since then that a team had fewer extra base hits than the Marlins were tracking towards, as in the strike shortened 81 season. Oh, 2. It's up high. Baez, who's normally relying on that fastball, even though we've seen him use the slider and changeup more often, has only thrown 3 fastballs out of his first 10 pitches. Rojas bounces one to second. That'll move the runner up. 1 out.
Definitely high fives all around for Miguel Rojas, doing the excellent job. Staying inside, going the other way, moving the runner over.
Center fielder number 9, Lewis Brinson.
Brings Brinson up with an important run standing down there for the Marlins. Dave Roberts understands that as well. Draws infield in. And hope the Baez can get a strikeout against a guy that strikes out as often as anybody in the game right now. Slider for strike 1. Strike 2. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th for the Dodgers. They'll have Muncy, Peterson, and Taylor due up. After that, it's Seager. Dave Roberts still has Yasmani Grandal available off of the bench. Oh, 2. Strikes him out with a high fastball. Big second out for Baez.
Just climbing the ladder for Brinson. Perfect pitch by Baez. You saw Austin Barnes. That's exactly where he wanted it. Just because you make a perfect pitch, not over. Regroup. Continue that focus and try to get your guys in there as quick as possible.
With Maben down at third, J.B. Shuck to pinch hit here. Shuck in his 6th major league season with his 5th different team. And getting his first major league opportunity in a couple years since he was with the White Sox in 16. In his very first game as a Marlin, he went 4 for 4. He's gone 3 for 27 since. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good stop by Barnes. Good all night back there. Stays growing up as an infielder. He says help him immensely as a catcher. Those soft hands that he developed on the Little League fields in Riverside. His nickname was Hoover. Two-one pitch. Spins out of the way after showing bunt. Takes ball 3. Full count. Shuck trying to keep the inning alive for the top of the order. Derek Dietrich waits on deck. Marlins taking the lead on an Anderson single and a Maben double. Here's another 3-2. Shuck pops it up. Short left. Tough play, but Kemp's going to get there. Wound up not being that tough of a play. Hung up for him. And the inning comes to an end. But the Marlins take the lead on Baez. The Dodgers will try and rally from down 1 in the bottom of the 9th. Comes in and plays right. Miguel Rojas is now at first base. And they bring a new shortstop into the game as well. That's Yadiel Rivera. It's Brad Ziegler, who's not had too many opportunities to do his job, which is to close games. But the veteran is on to try and do that here. 3-2 game and Max Muncy to lead off.
Oh, his career versus the Dodgers, he does have 4 saves, and over his career, 96.
So it's 8-9-1 in the order. Peterson due next. And he misses with the first pitch low and away. Dodgers have seen a bunch of Brad Ziegler throughout his career. All those years in Arizona. Big bouncer behind the bag. It's Rivera throwing Muncy out. Ziegler's always been tough on the Dodgers. 46 games against them, and his ERA is right around 2.
Number 31, Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson. His walk in the 7th inning started a 2-out rally and came in to score on Chase Utley's bases loaded walk that gave the Dodgers a 2-1 lead. The Marlins with 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th, trying to steal this one. Strike 1 on Peterson. And now Baez on the hook. One and one.
And we were talking about this Marlins bullpen. All righties in the bullpen. Not really lefties, any lefties coming out of there when you're like, well, how effective are they against lefties?
Another big bouncer to Rivera from short center, 2 out.
And coming in, you got Ziegler. Here's his splits. Left-handed batters coming in 263 against, whereas right-handers are hitting 400.
Huh. What gives?
Right.
Taylor, the last hope for the Dodgers. Extended his hitting streak to 7 with a base hit in the 7th inning. Has 3 home runs this season. Has the ability to tie it with 1 swing. And Ziegler has given up a home run in his 8 innings pitched this year. Misses with the first one. One and one. Taylor yanks it to left. Here comes Maben to make a sliding catch and end the night. The Marlins get single runs in the 8th and in the 9th against Cingrani and Baez, and even this series at a game apiece.
Well, the Dodgers had some opportunities. 1 for 5 of runners in scoring position. They had the bases loaded there in the 7th and late in the game and only managed 1 run. Marlins came back, got back. Were able to pull this one out. This is the one where you got to turn the page. Dodgers definitely had their opportunity to win this game. Try to win this series tomorrow with your ace Clayton Kershaw on the mound.
Play of the game brought to you by Lexus. Came in the top of the 9th after Anderson started the inning with a single. Maben doubled him home to give the Marlins the win, snapping their 5-game losing streak. Only their 6th win of the season out of their first 23 games. 3-2 the final for Nomar Garciaparra, Alana Rizzo, and the rest of our crew. Joe Davis saying so long from Dodger Stadium. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 4:30 for the finale. For now, stay tuned. Access Sportsnet Dodgers begins now.